Hi, in today's video I'm going to be talking about creating WebP animated images as an alternative to using animated GIFs. The advantage is they're lower file size and better quality. And what I'm going to be doing is using ffmpeg to create these animated WebP images. Now, WebP is a format developed by Google that's used on YouTube to generate the thumbnail previews. So what I'm going to do is switch across to the ffmpeg codecs documentation and the section about libwebp. And what we have is several options, which I'll actually go through. We have lossless setting, a compression setting, quality, and some presets. And what happens is, if you use the presets, it actually overrides the compression and the quality settings. So what I'm going to do is actually go through a script that I've written, and what I'm going to demonstrate first of all is what everybody gets wrong. There's a lot of examples about creating WebP animated images, and what everybody gets wrong is they actually use the wrong codec. So there's actually two codecs. There's libwebp and libwebp underscore ANIM. And I'm going to show you the difference. So what I'm going to do is run this script with, okay, here we go. What I've got here is Big Buck Bunny, and what I've done is chopped the video up into scenes using scene detection that I covered in a previous video. And what I'm going to do now is run the script that I wrote, WebP. I'm going to give it an in file, let's say 40. Okay, you can see there what it's done is it's created the WebP image. And what I'm going to do is come across and open that in the browser. So that should be down the bottom somewhere. Where is it? Okay, here we go. So I'm opening this in the browser. And you can see what's happened is it's played the video, it's played the image, but it's not looping. Okay, if I refresh this, you see it plays and it stops. It doesn't automatically loop like a animated GIF would. Okay, so what I'm going to do is switch the codec back to libwebp underscore ANIM. And let me just come and delete that file that I just created. And recreate it. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to switch back to the terminal, run the same command. And now what I'm going to do is open that video again. Image rather. And you can see it's now looping. So that's the first issue that everyone gets wrong, is they use the wrong codec. So, okay, go through this. So what I'm going to do is actually go through all the settings and how you can create WebP animated images, and some of the issues that you're going to come across sort of creating them. So this is a script basically that I've knocked up, and what I'll do is go through this. What we have here is the options that we can actually use, and these are the options that are provided by ffmpeg for the libwebp codec. So what we've got is the input file name, which is going to be that should be input. So that's going to be the input video. And then it said we've got the compression level, and the compression level defaults to 4. And you can set this to 6, which is going to use different algorithms to reduce the file size, and it will reduce the file size I found by about 100 kilobytes, or like a tenth of a meg. But it takes significantly longer to actually process the videos into animated WebP files, if you set it to 6, it will take like a minute or so. And what I found is setting it to 6 is okay if you're just doing 1 or 2, but if you're batch processing like 100 videos, it's going to take forever. So I've set the default to 4. Now the quality is the obviously the quality of the image, and Google's default is 75, but what I've done is bumped it up to 80. What I'm also doing is setting the frame rate. So what you can do is, typically the video from something like YouTube is going to be 25 frames a minute, second rather. And what I've done is dropped it down to 15. If you have the frame rate at 25, you're going to have a WebP image that's actually double the size of the video input. We can also set the width, so we can actually set the width of the image, and what this is going to do is it's actually going to proportionally scale the image from the video. So you just have to provide the width, and it's automatically going to work out the height to keep the correct aspect ratio. And then what we have here is the preset, and these are presets that override the compression and the quality settings. So you've got none, default, picture, photo, drawing, icon, and text. And I'll set it to default of none. And the reason for this is because if you set the compression and the quality, and then you provide a preset, the preset will override the compression and quality settings. And then we have the out file name, and this is an optional argument, and if you don't provide the out file name, it will default to the infilename.webp, and the reason for this is so that we can actually batch process videos using the find command. What we have down here is some error messages. We check the number of arguments passed to the script, so if there's no arguments passed to the script, it exits. And what we have down here is the get ops, and this is when you provide options on the command line like -I for the infile, -C for the compression, -Q for the quality, -F for frame rate, -W for width, -P for preset, or -O for the output. So these are the options you pass to the script. Then what we've got down here is the some variables. What we do is we get the infile name without the file extension, so that we can create a default output file name, which will be the input file name with a .webp extension. We then set the compression default, quality default, preset none, the frame rate, and the width. Then what we have down here is the actual ffmpeg function. First of all, what we do is we hide the banner and statistics, so that it doesn't sort of print out ffmpeg built with and then a giant list of options. We then give it the input file, and this input here corresponds to these sections here. So input corresponds to -I and whatever you pass in, and the same for all of these. So we can see here we've got the input, we've got the libwebp_animation, we've got lossless. You've got two options for lossless, 0 or 1, and there's an issue converting. If you I think lossless is only available for RGB, and the other one is, what is it, Y something or other, is for lossy, but there's an issue converting between the two color spaces, so you want to leave this on lossless. Then we got the compression level, which is set to 4, and what this is this block of code says if you pass in an option for compression -C, it's going to use that, otherwise it's going to fall back to compression default, which is 4. So if you don't use -C and set the compression, it's going to fall back to 4. Same with the quality. What it's going to do is, if you don't provide a quality option, it's going to default to 80, but if you use -Q and then 90, it will use that option. There are two other options looking in the documentation: the CR threshold, which is defaulted to 0, and the CR size, which is default to 16. I played around with the CR size, and I couldn't really see much difference in the quality of the image. And then down here, what we've got is the preset. So this is the preset you can pass in that will override the compression and the quality settings. And by default, it's set to none, so that you can just use the quality and the compression levels. We set it to link and to loop. We set it to not have any audio, because obviously we're using ffmpeg to convert the video to the WebP image, and we don't need the audio. Then what we have down here is we're setting the frame rate. So we're setting the frame rate to 15 by default. And then what we have down here is we have the scale, and by default it's going to default to 600 pixels. So you can pass in the -W option and set the width. And we're using the Lanczos compression for the scaling, which should result in better scaling. And then what we have down here is the output file name. So you can use -O, give it an output file name, or you can omit that and it will default to the input file name .webp, and that's so that we can batch process stuff. And finally, what we do down here is we just run the function. So that's the script. So what I'm going to do is actually come across here and show you the WebP excuse me, WebP images animation. So what I've got here is Big Buck Bunny. What I've done is I've chopped Big Buck Bunny up into all the scenes. So I've used ffmpeg scene detection to chop the video up into lots of different scenes. So as you can see here, we've got about 120 odd clips. Yeah, 123 clips. So what I did was I used the find command to let me bring up my notes. What I did was I used the find command with the script. Okay, so WebP. So this is the WebP script, the script usage, and the batch process. So as you can see here, one line of code to batch process 120 MP4 video clips into WebP. We basically go into the directory and we run the find command, find name MP4 execute WebP-I, the input file. And as I said, the reason I wrote it the way I did was so that we can batch process stuff, and it will basically go through and convert all the MP4s into WebP files. And we can pass additional options in here if we want to, but we're just using the default. So we could pass in -Q90 to increase the quality, -W 640 to increase the size of the video, the image rather. So that's how I batch processed everything, and that took about 3 minutes to convert all the videos into WebP animations, and that was at a compression level of 4. If you set the compression level to 6, it literally takes forever. It would take just doing it a couple took several minutes. So if I'd set the compression level to 6, it would probably take about an hour to convert all the videos. So what I've got here is all the WebP animations that I've created, and what I'm going to do is preview these using NSKIV, which is a fork of the SKIV image viewer. And you can use, if I run man NSKIV, you use the -A option, it will play animation of multi-frame images. So we can preview all these here like this with this program. We can also preview the WebP animations using a browser. So if I come up here and let me just one. You can see this is looping, okay? So this is the one I was showing you earlier that's looping. So this is it in Chromium, and I just want to show you in Firefox as well. But what I'm going to do is actually go through them and preview them using an SKIV, because it's actually quicker. So rather than doing it through the browser, but I just want to show you that this works in both Firefox and Chromium. So you can see this is looping in Firefox as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually go through these images and show you some of the compression artifacts that you can come across. So this is set to 80% quality, 600 pixels width, with the compression at 4. And you can see there's no artifacts or pixelation here. So I'm just going to sort of go through and find some that do have some issues. Sometimes you'll see, if you notice the bunny's chest, when he comes out, there'll be a bit of pixelation around here. You can see a bit of blockiness, not too much. So what I want to do is basically just demo different shots, close-ups. And you can see this is perfect for sort of creating little clips instead of using animated GIFs, which will have a larger file size. I did do a video on how you can use ffmpeg to create animated GIFs, and you can see this one here is waggling his tail and it's just looping. So as you can see here, we've got a trail of sort of like stardust or something behind the butterfly, and you can see it's not pixelating or anything. And what you'll notice in this one, there's quite a lot of pixelation up here, quite a lot of blockiness. And what I found is, get rid of this, you need to set the quality up to about 90, 91, 92, and that will actually get rid of the blockiness. You could also try using some of the presets. Let's say you only get this on certain sort of images. You can see this one's fine. But just maybe just a case of you have to sort of go through and see if there's any that have got any artifacts on them, and then just increase the quality a tad. Okay. So this is all at 15 frames a second. I found that if you drop the frame rate down to about 12, it becomes a bit too jerky and a bit too like a sort of low quality GIF. Whereas you can see this is all 80%. And this was no artifacts, so it really is a bit hit and miss on some of the images as to whether they're going to show any artifacts on them or not. As you can see, if you check out the bunny's arse here, you get it when you have slight gradients between one color. You can see the fur sort of a bit there around here. So again, you'd need to increase the quality a bit there. And what I found is increasing the quality 5%, so like from 80 to 85, will result in a 0.5 meg increase in the file size. So you can see this is fine for longer clips as well. So even clips that are, 10, 15, 20 seconds long, it's fine. You'll still get sort of good quality for a good file size. So let me just come through and play some of these. So this is sort of perfect for creating sort of little memes. And the other advantages is you can create you can combine multiple clips together to actually create a short sort of 1 minute sort of animated video, which will probably come in 10-20 meg, something like that. And it's actually a good alternative to sticking something on YouTube if you've just got something small, because it's just an image. You can just upload it, put it in HTML. You can see this is looping this quite well, this one here. So you can actually use it just to create sort of, if it was a sports clip or something like that, you can create an animated WebP image and just put it on a web page, and you don't have to upload anything to YouTube, so you don't have any sort of copyright issues or anything. So let's just keep going through these, and you can see most of these don't have any pixelation set at 80% with a compression level of 4. Here's a good one here. And again, I could open all these in Chromium or Firefox. So it's good to test them in Chromium as well, because obviously that being a Google product as well, it's a good test because it's going to have good support for WebP. So you'll notice there's slight pixelation on his paw there, and whatever you want to call it. So as I said, this is a really good way to chop up a video and create animated WebP images. So as I showed you, you can do ffmpeg scene detection and chop a video up into clips based on the scene changes. And you can then convert those into little animated WebP images as a preview. Get to section when he goes into the forest and starts building weapons. You can see here again, slight pixelation. See, it's going to kick in a minute just around here. So on examples where there's a slight gradient between the color, you will get some blockiness, and in that case what you'll want to do is increase the quality. So really you've got a couple of options. You can play around with decompression, which is going to reduce the file size, but does take significantly a lot longer. You can see a little pixelation there. So basically you've got the size of the image, you got the frame rate, and you got the quality, the sort of things you can actually play around with. So decreasing the frame rate will result in, so if you go from 15 to say 12, it will reduce the file size by 0.3 of a meg. So every time you increase or decrease the file size, it will either increase or decrease the whenever you sort of increase the sort of video size, the image size, it's or the frame rate is going to affect the size of the actual video. I just wanted to sort of go through different examples of the video to show where you actually get issues. But as you can see, most of these are absolutely fine, and at 15 frames, it's quite smooth. You can see there's a few little artifacts you get sometimes here. So perfect thing for kids, you know, sort of things. Making little sort of animated clips, social media. And what I'll also do is just sort of compare the file sizes of the original clip to the animated version. Because as I say, if you increase the frame rate to say 25 and have the quality at 80 and the width of 600, you can actually end up with a bigger image than the original video at 1920 by 1080. So that's just one thing to bear in mind, is how you it's a trade-off between sort of file size and sort of quality. Again, you can use the compression level up to 6, but it does take a lot longer. And what I found is it chops off about a tenth of a meg, so you know, like 100k or whatever. You see, there was a slight during that fade, there was a slight pixelation, and you can sort of get a loss of sort of sharpness on some things. Like you can see here, it's not particularly sharp. And again, as I was mentioning the fur, you can see the slight pixelation, boxiness on the gradient there. So you may have to sort of go through a couple of clips that have got that issue and just whack the quality up a bit. But by and large, using a default of about 80 is pretty good for most stuff, even at a large width of 600 pixels. You can see this is a short clip that's looping. Okay, this one took a slight bit longer to open up because this is a sort of slightly longer clip. So this is a good example of a clip that's, you know, longer than 10 seconds. So it's basically just like having a video, it just doesn't have any audio, obviously. I'll say this one. So it's just quite nice having these little sort of short attention grabbing clips. You know, people got short attention spans these days. It's a really good way of just being able to take a video, chop it up into scenes, and then turn those scenes into little animated clips, give a preview. So you can see the motion is pretty smooth, even at 15 frames. And this is what the actual clips looks like. As an MP4. So there's not any sort of difference. You can see these different types of shots, the leaves going everywhere. There's no sort of streaking or any artifacts. Sometimes you will get slight blockiness on some sort of solid colours like skies where they have a slight gradient again. But by and large, using a sort of quality setting of about 80 and using the default compression of 4 gives pretty good results. Okay, that takes a lot longer because I think this is a slightly bigger one. But there you go. You can see here the sort of pixelation because it's a sort of radial gradient. So in this particular one, you'd want to increase the quality up to probably 91, 92. So that's 121. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you increasing the quality to actually get rid of that issue. So Big Buck Bunny, and what was that? 121. So 121. We'll set the quality to 92, and we'll set the out file to bbb121.webp. And of course, we can set other options here if we want. The -C option for the compression, and we can whack it up to 6 to say that will take the file size down a bit longer, but in my experience, it sort of increases the amount of time significantly by sort of 2 or 3 times. So it can take like a minute or so for each thing. So let me just come back out here and this one here. Okay, that's 92. So you can see whacking it up to 92 got rid of all those artifacts we were having. So I said you may be tempted to whack up the quality a lot, but as I said, the issue you can come across is that you can then create an image that's actually bigger than the original video. This is quite a good example of actually changing the quality settings to get rid of an issue, because specifically with things like radial gradients, you'll typically notice, you can see here, some even at 92, you're getting that issue. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to open that again. Okay, you can see, so it was the radial gradient opening out there. And if I go back to this one here, which is was set at 80%. There you go. As you can see in the corners like that, you're getting a lot of pixelation and noise. So now the other thing I wanted to cover is actually putting a WebP image in a web page. There's a simple bit of HTML, HTML5 page. We got the head, head, body, and in the body we've got image alt equals image source big buck bunny 99 WebP. So if I now come across, open that up. Okay. And you can see the images looping in the web page just as you would have with a animated GIF. So it's really easy to create the HTML code for this, just exactly the same as you would for a GIF. Just put in the path to the image. Okay, so the other thing is there is the search WebP. Okay, so WebP, you have ffmpeg, which will have WebP support. So you can use ffmpeg to create the animated WebP, video from a video. What you also have is you've got the WebP package here, and what this contains is several programs. It contains WebP info mux. So web info will show, WebP info shows information about the WebP file. You've got WebP mux. You then also have cwebp, which is, I think, for creating WebP images from another image format like a JPEG or PNG. You've then got dwebp, which is for converting a WebP image back to a PNG or JPEG or something. You also have gif to WebP, and what this will do is this will convert a animated GIF, I think, to a WebP file. The other one you have is libwebp, and that's a WebP viewer. But the issue with this is that it actually shows the full screen. So as you can see here, this is showing this full screen as opposed to the scale I set it to. So I set the scale to 600. So I'm not sure if there's a flag or something you can use with that to show it at the size you created with the image at, because as a viewer it's pretty useless showing it like this all pixelated. So that's why I use NSKIV with the -A option. And that will play animated GIFs and animated WebP files. And you can see here, this is showing it at the correct size. And again, you can use Chromium or Firefox as a viewer. But it's just a bit of a pain because you've got to sort of, come through and select them like this. So it's a bit of a pain to do it. But it's a good test to see how Chrome or Firefox will actually render the image, display it in the browser. So that's the gist of creating animated WebP files. And again, let me just go through this. This is the WebP site, developers.google.com speed WebP, providing some information here. And the other tool that you can use, I believe, is ImageMagick. I think that has support for WebP. I'm not sure if it's got support for creating animated. It may have support for creating animated WebP files from images, but probably not from video, I would imagine. Which is what I was wanting to show, how to create animated WebP files from a video. So again, this is the ffmpeg documentation about the libwebp codec and the options that we have. We've got this section up here. Currently, libwebp only supports YUV for lossy and RGB for lossless, with limitations in the format and WebP. Alpha is supported for either mode. So what it's saying here is if RGB is passed in when encoding lossy, and YUV is passed in for encoding lossless, the pixel format will automatically be converted. This is not ideal and done only for convenience. So basically there's an issue if you're sort of converting, if you're trying to do lossy, and you've got passing RGB, it has to convert it and stuff. So that's why we just use lossless 0. Then we've got the compression, which is set to 4, and the valid ranges from 0 to 6. We've got the quality range from 0 to 100. The default is 75, which I've whacked up to 80. Again, we've got the presets here. Do not use a preset. Use a default encoder, picture, digital picture like portrait, inner shot. Got photo, outdoor photo with natural lighting. Drawing, hand or line drawing with high contrast details, icons, small colourful images, or text-like. And again, the preset overrides the compression level and the quality settings. So what you'll see, a lot of people get, as I say, they get two things wrong. One, they set the wrong codec. They said it's libwebp when trying to create an animation, and as I showed you, that doesn't loop in the browser. You need to set it to libwebp_anim. The second thing they do is they actually put in a compression level and a quality, and then also specify a preset like picture. Basically, that doesn't. There's no. Using the preset overrides the compression level and the quality settings. So it's an either or. So if you set the preset, it's just going to ignore these settings. So you can play around with the preset, but you're probably going to have more luck playing around with the quality, increasing the quality bit by bit. And again, the compression level set to 6 really does increase the encoding time. So we'll give a better quality for a given size, increased encoding time, speed, size trade-off. And as I showed you, just going through with a compression level of 4, I batch processed 123 MP4 clips in around about 3 minutes, whereas setting the compression level to 6, after about 3 minutes, it done about 2 or 2 or 3. So it would take significantly longer to actually batch process all those images. So that's the options that we've got. And this is again the how you create the web page, put your WebP file in. And again, the advantage of this is that you can create small little clips, put them in a web page without having to upload something to YouTube. Again, might be a case, you know, if you wanted to show some, say, sports footage or something, you couldn't put that on YouTube, but you might sort of get away with creating a little preview as a WebP animation and just uploading that image somewhere and linking to it. The other thing I want to do is actually just, if I can, what I'm going to do is actually move all the WebP files back into the same folder as the MP4 so that I can show you the difference in the file size. Okay, so I think it might be easier to show it in the browser. So what I'm going to do is just open this directory again. And what you'll see here is the original video. And you can see here, even with the settings I've got at like 600, the WebP files are a lot bigger than the H.264 videos. And that's basically because I've set a large size. I've set a size of 600 pixels. So that's why these actually come out in a lot of cases bigger than the original files. In some cases they don't. So you can see here one that's not. 7. Sometimes they're just under. So let's see, MP4. So as you can see, because they're even at 80% quality, these are 1920. I think is it 720? These are 720 videos, and that's 1920. Was it? No, 720 1280, and these have been knocked down to 600 pixels width and a quality setting of 80. And you can see, this is only what, half 100 kilobytes off the video size. So that's why the sort of, some of these are quite big. You can see this is a meg. This one's under a meg, and the actual WebP is larger. But it's only a meg. It's not going to kill you. But this is just to demonstrate that you can actually get bigger files, or files that are just slightly under the video size. So that's just one issue, and that's why you have to play around with the combination of settings. So again, if I just open up the script, again, we've got the script usage, and what I'll just do, all these options here, what you pass in. So -I, the input, and these are all then stored as variables. So if you pass in -Q 100, quality is going to be equal to 100, and that's what we call in the script further down here. So again, the settings we've actually got to play around with, there aren't that many for the this particular codec. We've got the lossless, which is either 0 or 1, got the compression, we got the quality. Again, I've tried playing around with these two here, the CR threshold and CR size, but couldn't notice much difference. Then we can set the preset, and what we've got here is the frame rate and the scale. So dropping down the size of the video will decrease the file size. So if we set the file size to say sort of 400 or something, it will decrease the actual file size. So what I'll do, if I do one and for example set the 40.4, So what I'll do is if I set the width to 400 and output libwebp 40.webp, so was up to 40. So the original one was 259 at 600 and 46 meg. What did I do there? That can't be right. 46 meg. Something's gone on there. Is it at the top? Yeah, what's gone on there? Why is that? Oh, it's a particularly long one. Why has it gone up to 46 meg? That's mad. Don't know what's going on there. But you know, there's always going to be something that goes funny in a demo. Let me just check, double check what I did there. Oh no, it was 150. Yeah, I don't know where that huge one was. I think that's yeah, 121 was actually okay. 121, the original clip was 18.5. So what's happened with the 121 clip is that's actually gone up from 18.5 to 48.1. So that was at 600. But the new version I did here at 400 is 165, whereas before it was 200 and something or other. This is at like 400, so you can see this is coming in at a couple of 100k. But that was the other one was just because I think that was the closing credits and that was sort of several minutes. So as you can see, you can get actually really large file sizes with longer clips. So again, that's the options. We've got the frame rate, the scale, the width, and if I and you can put these options in any order. So the order of these options, -I, -W, -O, doesn't matter. You can put them in any order you want. So if I want to increase the frame rate to, I want to set the frame rate to 25. What I'll do is just come across here and show you the difference. So you can see here setting the frame rate from 15 to 25, increased the file size from 165 to 232. If I just preview that again at 15, you can't really notice too much difference between 15 and 25, to be honest. And it the frame rate does impact the video size. So again, you got several things to play around with. Basically, you've got the compression level, and again, setting that up to 6, I found that will take off like 100k or something. So you had something that was done at a compression level of 4, and it came out at 6 meg. Setting it to a compression level of 6 would bring it out to like 5.9 or something like that. The quality, when you increase the quality by 0.5, so like going from 80 to 85, that's typically going to increase the file size by 0.5 meg. So for every 0.5 increase, you're looking at a half a meg increase in file size. So whacking it up to 91 or 92 can actually increase the file size beyond the file size of the original video. So I found 91, 92 gets rid of the some pixelation you get on gradients. Again, frame rate, you can drop the frame rate down even further if it's not a video you're working with. It's something that's a bit more static, like a screen recording. Again, you can drop the width down. I've set it to a default of 600, and you've got the preset you can use in the out file. And again, we can just batch process all this stuff. So what I'll do now is just come across in here and just remove all the WebP files. So what we've got here is all the MP4s. So there's all the, here's a new thing in URXVT on Ubuntu 20.04. Sometimes you get these little tooltips come up. So what I'm going to do now is just paste this command in, and you'll see it will chunder away. So I'm in the MP4 directory. So what we're doing is find.typef name MP4 execute, and then the script webp-i, and this is going to be the file. And you can see here this is set with a compression level of 4. So you'll see how quickly it goes through all these clips, as opposed to if I'd set this to 6, it'd still be doing the first one. We've got 123 clips, so this is going to take approximately about 3 minutes to go through and convert them all. And this is going to create all the clips that I've been demoing in the video at 600 width, compression level 4, quality 80. You can see here it's going through quite a good rate. And again, what we did was we used ffmpeg scene detection to actually take Big Buck Bunny and chop it up into clips based on the scene changes. Then what that allows us to do is basically create previews for all these different clips. So this is about 1 minute in. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that for a second there. So I'll put links to all this under the video. If you've already got the ffmpeg scripts, you can just do a git pull to get the latest version with the WebP script. So if you run the script with the -h option, this is what it's going to print out. So if you run WebP-h, it's going to print out the script usage with the help on how you use it and what options you can pass in and what defaults are set. And so again, the only option you actually need to pass in is -i in the input file. And if you do that, it's going to default to using compression level of 4, quality 80, frame rate 15, width 600. It's not going to use a preset because we're using the quality. And it will automatically create the files based on the input file name, but with the .webp extension. So if you don't specify the -o option to provide a file name, it's automatically going to create the WebP file with the same name as the original file, but the WebP extension. And again, the reason for that is so that we can actually batch process stuff using the find command and finding all the MP4 files or whatever video files they are, running the WebP script. And again, you could pass in other options here. So you could pass in before this section here. You could pass in, well, you have to put it in before the single quote here. You can see here we've got single quote, double quote, so space before the single quote, and then any of these options. So if you wanted to set the compression quality, the frame rate, width, anything like that. You can basically batch process and pass all those options in. And if I check here, you can see it's now finished. So that was that was about 3 minutes. And you can see we've got all the WebP files here. So if I then make directory, what I'll just do is move those back up. mv.webp, webp. And there again, we've got all the WebP files that went through. And I've got Emacs set up with, let me just, for any Emacs users, might open with, okay, here we go. So I'm using the open with package in Emacs, and what I've got is a section down here to open videos with MPV and open all of these image types with NSKIV with the -A option. Even though these don't require the, mostly don't require the -A option, I'm just using it for WebP here. So that's how I'm opening the WebP files with NSKIV with Emacs and Diode here. So the other thing I did was, I showed you in a previous video, you can get the list to be correctly sorted. It's not sorting correctly for some reason now. Am I missing some of those files or something? Doesn't seem to have done them all. And of course, it's going to crap out partway through. So it must have crapped out partway through doing a demo or something, because I'm now they're all here, going bonkers. But you can see here, these are all the images. So really quick to see. This is a slightly longer one, which is why it took longer to kick in. But NSKIV, which is a fork of SKIV, which is sort of not been updated for a long time, is probably the best thing I've come across for viewing WebP images or animations, because it's a lot quicker to preview them on the command line than it is to sort of open the browser and go open, select the file, select it, do that for each one. It's a bit of a pain. So those are all the previews. You can see only took 3 minutes to convert 120 odd clips into animations. So that's how you can create WebP animated files using ffmpeg. Again, there is the app search WebP command line set of tools. It may be called libwebp, depending on your distribution, and that contains tools for converting. You have WebP info, you got WebP mux, you got CWebP for creating WebP images, DWebP for converting WebP images into JPEGs and such. And the final one you had was VWebP, the WebP viewer, but as I said, that doesn't display the animations at the correct file size, so at the correct width. It displays them full screen, as far as I can see. But I'd recommend using NSKIV with the -A option to play the animated things there. Just Q to quit. So that's the gist of everything. That's how you can those are the settings you've got to play around with. That's how you can batch process everything. And just one more look at the scripts just to go through the options again. So quick recap, we got the script usage. So if you run the script without any arguments, if you just run webp on its own, webp on its own, it's going to say wrong number of arguments passed to the script, and it's going to print out the help. And same deal, if you run it with the -h option, it's going to display this. So if I run webp -h, it's going to say webp animated images. It's going to show you the command, the options you can put in, compression 0 to 6, quality 0 to 100, frame rate, put in whatever frame rate you want, the width, P for the preset, which is going to override the compression and quality, and the out file. So it's going to explain that and give you the list of presets that are available, which are none, default, picture, photo, drawing, icon, and text. So that's script usage. Again, we've got the error messages. We check the number of arguments passed to the script. So if there are no arguments passed to the script, we run the usage function to display the usage. Then again, we've got the get options settings here, and this get ops, these sections correspond to the items in the case. So we've got the input, so -i for input, -c for compression, -q for quality, -f for frame rate, -w for the width, -p for the preset, and -o for the output file, and -h will display the help. And again, we've got the variables down here. This is how we get the input file name without the file extension. And then what we have down here, these are the compression, these are the defaults. These are fallback defaults. So if you don't specify an option, it defaults to this. So if you want to set the default options, this is where you can do it. If you want to set the default to 6 for the compression, or the quality to 90 or whatever, that's where you can do it. And this is how we get the output default file name. It's just going to be the input file name .webp, and this is the block of code for ffmpeg. We hide the banner, we give it the input, and again the codec has to be libwebp_anim. As I said, most people, what you'll find is they make two mistakes. They just use libwebp, and as I've shown you, that doesn't loop the image in the browser. It just plays it once and it stops. So that's why you want libwebp_anim. Got the lossless setting again. Remember the issue with was it YUV40 can be lossy, but it's going to convert from RGB color space to that. So that's why you want to leave the lossless at 0. We got the compression level again, default of 4. You increase it to 6. It will take off a bit of the file size, but it's going to be significantly longer. It's going to take about 3 or 4 times the amount of time to process as a compression level of 4 would. We've got the quality, which is set to 80. Google's default's about 75, but I found that bumping up to 80 dealt with some banding issues or pixelation you could get on things that got a slight gradient. Haven't played around with these too much. I tried setting the CR size to 14. I'm not sure if these are kind of some block size or something. But you can try increasing the CR size, see if that has any impact on the file size or the quality. You've got the preset. We loop this, so it's going to loop constantly. We don't use the audio track, obviously. We set the frame rate and we set the scale. So you only have to put the width in for the scale, and it's going to work out the height and maintain the aspect ratio, basically. And then we put out the output file. So by default, it's going to be the input file name with just the Webp extension, and then finally we run the animation function down here. So that's the gist of everything. I'll put links to all this under the video, but it's a really good way of creating little animated previews of stuff. You can also concatenate several clips together, several movie clips together, and convert those into a Webp animation. So you can use ffmpeg to join a couple of clips together and create a little show reel of stuff. The other thing that would be interesting would be to be able to take a video file and speak through it and sort of take out chunks and create, sort of like go through a video and create 2 or 3 second chunks at, say, different intervals throughout the video. So it would like give a preview of the whole video, like you get on YouTube. When you're on YouTube and you hover over a video, keep hovering to play, you see how it's actually generating a sort of little preview here. It'd be interesting to see if it'd be possible to do a similar sort of thing, take a video and just go through the entire video and extract, a couple of second chunks and actually create a whole, a sort of shortened version of the video that's just like a, 10-20 second preview. So that's the next thing I want to have a look at, is how you could sort of create a sort of video sort of preview. This is actually going through and previewing the whole thing. But what I was interested in was just how you could sort of create a shortened version of a video, just extracting sort of little chunks to create a preview. But that's all for now. I'll put links to all this under the video. But it's a really good way to create animated images from a video. And again, you've got several options to play around with, and it's easier to create good videos with a good file size than the animated GIFs. And again, you can also batch process everything. As I've shown, you can just batch process 100 plus, 200 plus, whatever videos, and convert them all into little animated images that you can then put on a web page. And as again, easy to create a animated video in the web page. We just got the image tag, alt image source, and the source of the Webp. You could also put in the width and the height, but not necessary. And as you can see, this is now going to loop. And of course, you may be able to take this further, sort of, have something where these don't play automatically, and they only play when you mouse over them, something like that. But that's all for now.